Hey Matt, hey everyone. Matt poses two questions. Number one, what does it mean to be a conscious being? Well, from the first question, one must always ask, in what meaning are we referring to? To be awake in the world, doing, creating, living, conversing in a place and time that we recognize and believe to understand. Um, no, that's too simple. It's probably not what you're driving at. Um, or are we talking about an inner consciousness, that of a transcendental understanding of something apart from the typical concept of knowledge, a spiritual consciousness, a spiritual sense of purpose or higher understanding? Well, if awake is all that is meant, then birds and squirrels and otters and many of God's creatures are also conscious. They are conscious. Do they have a moral conscience, which is where consciousness is derived from? Is another question. We really don't know, but the dolphin has been known to protect surfers and swimmers from shark attacks on occasion, and why? Do they know good from evil? Do they separate themselves from the world? Why do certain creatures hold a sense of order or discipline while others do not? No one knows for sure, but is it easier to see the beauty by looking at the whole picture or by a magnifying glass or a microscope even? Again, there's no true answer because the answer isn't based around kind of like a universal truth. It's a subjective question posed to the person being interviewed. What good does a magnifying glass do when you want a broad view, a broad spectrum of thought and understanding of a much larger picture? So you say, what does it mean to be a conscious being? So to answer the question, being, as in a human being, we are always conscious, but on perhaps different levels. Well, not really levels because, that's too divided, too mechanical. Consciousness or levels of consciousness, I believe, has to do with your level of awareness in the world. The more aware you are, the more awakened or enlightened you are. It's like life is overwhelmingly, and then there's that word again, overwhelmingly organic and plays along a spectral range, because you don't have just two poles. You don't have two possibilities. Either something's more black or more white. You have the wide array of spectrums bursting outward, kind of like a star, with inexhaustible possibilities. Because, is a slug awake? Can it distinguish the self from the other? As it eats a leaf, does it eat with a modicum of thought? We don't know. We may never know. But it's human consciousness in particular that believe in a vastly broader spectrum, and perhaps, and for many, and in my opinion, see for themselves no difference between the self and other. So that's what I believe. And question number two, is language necessarily tied to consciousness? Well, for me, the very quick answer would be yes. And I would go so far as to say that all things are tied to consciousness. Language, I believe, is but one way that we have contrast. Without proper contrast, we would not be able to distinguish one from the other. The picture will always be unclear unless something helps to establish a better balance. So, hope that answers the questions, and okay, my friends, again, happy holidays. Until next time, so long.